Hi, I'm Liz, and I healed from chronic fatigue syndrome. And I've come back to share my story and the stories of others who have healed. Nothing on this channel is medical advice nor meant to contradict what you yourself have discovered to be true. But I hope by sharing our stories, we can inspire you on your journey.
How are you, Liz?
Good. How is it going, Junior?
Good. You ever get nervous before one of these?
Today I'm not. I'm so glad we could be doing this interview. So, do you mind sharing with our audience what your purpose for sharing your message today is?
Yeah, sure, Liz. Well, first and foremost, thank you for having me here on the channel. I really appreciate the opportunity to get to speak about this. But mainly my purpose for wanting to be here today was, after experiencing CFS myself, having it for almost nearly 3 years, finally finding the way out, really wanted to spread the message of how you can approach this and at least give off what I feel like my understanding is, and then talk about a little bit of the program that I help coach as well, because we're seeing a lot of progress inside of the program as far as the people that are joining. Some people are already making full recoveries. So yeah, excited to be here, excited to talk about.
Yeah, that's so great that you're now helping others applying what you learned. So, can you describe a little bit about your life before chronic illness?
Yeah, sure. So, spent the majority of my early 20s, I'm 29 now, spent most of my early and mid 20s being really active. I was always a really just hyper individual. I always spent a lot of my time outdoors. I live in Florida. So, even during the scorching heat, we had Disney annual passes. So, we would go to Disney almost every single weekend. As you know, that is miles and miles of walking every day and in the heat. So, it does a number on your body at the end of the day. Worked full time. I'm a musician as well. So I would work full time in the mornings all the way until 5 p.m. in the afternoon. And then I would pursue the music thing during the evenings. And then on the weekends, we would go to Disney. So never really gave myself a break. I was one of those people that really adopted that like hustle hard mentality. So learning now that I'm a lot older wasn't probably really sustainable for me.
Yeah, and you're definitely not alone. So, though I don't know if other people have that of intense lifestyle, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, can you describe your onset with chronic fatigue syndrome and how that all began?
Yeah, so onset, honestly, I feel like my body was giving me warning signs about a year and year and a half beforehand. So I was continuing what I was doing. We were taking vacations out of state to New York and Canada. And during these trips, I wasn't eating the healthiest and I was still pushing myself as well. So I was noticing I started getting some pretty odd symptoms that seemed to come out of nowhere, but that were pretty persistent. Like I would get a headache and it happened so often that I started to notice that I was getting a headache like 2 or 3 times a week. And I told my girlfriend, well, I didn't really tell. I asked her, I was like, hey, is this normal? And it actually got to the point where it was so concerning. I went to an urgent care and they prescribed me the equivalent to a children's Tylenol. So I paid $300 for that prescription, but whatever. And then afterwards, just more and more things started popping up. Like I started walking down a hallway at work one day, and I remember the floor beginning to bounce, feeling like I was on a trampoline. I was like, okay, that was strange. I freaked out. Luckily, I was working in a giant hospital at the time, so I walked myself right to the emergency room, and they just chalked it up to more than likely you're just dehydrated, man. And after that, I just got more and more symptoms, and I chalked it up to just being dehydrated. So then I ended up just building this obsessive personality trait of just having to drink water all the time to prevent the dehydration symptoms. And even with the drinking water, it just got worse and worse and worse. I keep going to the ER over and over. They're telling me everything's fine. It could possibly be dehydration, but I really began to believe, okay, something is terribly wrong and nobody knows what's going on. And then with that, the anxiety, the downward spiral, how everybody has it. And then eventually I had my first crash in the second week of 2019. It was January 15th. I'll never forget it. It was the scariest day of my life. I thought I was going to die. And from there, my body entered that survival state, that nervous system shutdown mode. And from there, the illness really began.
So, what precipitated the crash on January 15th, 2019?
It was more than likely a buildup of stress over time because, like I said, the past couple months, I was really anxious about the condition of my body, not knowing what was happening, why all these symptoms were coming up, and I still continued to persist with my very active lifestyle. And then one day that just hit it over the edge. I remember I went to work in the morning. Right after work, I changed into different clothes because I was shooting a music video at night. And then after that music video, I came home and I had a Zoom meeting with the director and the editors of the music video to make sure everything was perfect. And I didn't go to sleep until I think 3 a.m. or something like that. Woke up the next day, completely crashed.
Wow. So that must have been terrifying, the first major crash. So what was your functionality like after that crash?
Well, I didn't know exactly what was happening to my body on a physiological level, but honestly, it was difficult to walk to the bathroom. That was when the ringing in the ears, I experienced that for the first time. I tried simply walking outside just to get some fresh air to see if that would help, and I could barely walk around my driveway. I was that fatigued. So I tried eating something. I got a terrible stomach ache. So at that point, I was still pushing myself because in reality, I was probably supposed to be like bedbound, couchbound at maybe the most, to be honest.
But you were dragging yourself around your house and to get some fresh
Yeah.
air. All right. So do you see more doctors now? Do they give you more than just baby Tylenol?
Yeah, when my dad came home later that day, I asked him, I was like, I need to go to the emergency room. Something really bad happened to me. So that's when I went to the emergency room. They tested me and they said, hey man, all your blood's fine. All your blood panels are fine. Your organs are perfect. You are perfectly healthy 27-year-old guy. And I was like, why do I feel like I'm dying? Can you do extra tests? And they said, can't do any more tests than we already do in the emergency room. You're going to have to see specialists for that. And I was like, wow, this is insane. And they told me you could possibly have anxiety. And I was like, this is not anxiety. This is a very physical thing that's happening to me. If anything, if I have anxiety, it's because of the physical state that I'm in.
Yes,
And
exactly.
I just remember getting so pissed hearing that from the doctor.
It's so interesting because we expect the doctors to have answers, but a couple years after, I had talked with a friend who is an emergency room doctor, and he's like, emergency room doctors are there to prevent you from getting worse or from imminent decline. They're not actually there to give you answers about your crazy symptoms. So it's an expectation thing that they're going to have the answers, but how many of us have racked up huge ER bills with nothing to show for it?
Exactly.
So, all right, can you describe then the first few months now of trying to figure this out? Did things get any better? Did you continue to push a little and crash? Can you describe the first months after the first crash?
Yeah, so after the first crash, a couple weeks went by and I started just feeling myself normalize again, to be completely honest. And I was at a place where I could probably go back to work, so I did. And I went back to work for a couple weeks, and then a buildup happened again rather quickly, and then I crashed again. And I was like, holy crap, this is ridiculous. And I went to the emergency room again, same thing, same deal. And then same thing happened again. I got better again and did it again, and I crashed again. So that's when I really started getting scared and looking online and Googling all my symptoms because the doctors didn't want to help me. And I found everything from adrenal fatigue to gut dysbiosis.
Oh, yeah, like all the bone broth. And so I was like, I found it. I have a leaky gut. That's the answer. So
exactly.
Been there. And that's so interesting too. I also had very like this in the beginning, and then it went like this. It was like do.
I feel bad because my body was giving me like a second and a third chance to get it right.
I know. I had like 5 chances in the beginning to just take it easy. And
yeah,
I think that's one of the biggest things. Hindsight is 2020. Like, what if we just would have taken a few weeks off? Maybe we wouldn't have had this, but then again, would we have learned the life lessons we would have needed to?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So, can you describe what some of your key symptoms were and basically what your functionality looked like? Let's say by month 6, how were things by then?
Oh, it was horrible. Like at that point, I was in probably every Facebook group in the universe asking for symptoms, and like I had every symptom in the book at that
Mm,
point. Oh my God. If I could name a few, just like body pains throughout my whole body, joint pains every time I ate something, the gut, horrible diarrhea, headaches, dizziness, brain fog, extreme fatigue. Every time I tried to do something like normal, my body would flare up because of it and get worse. The brain fog was the scariest thing because I had no clue what was happening to me. And I thought every day I was having a stroke. It was terrible.
yeah, I thought I had early onset dementia. So I was like, why can't I recall basic words?
Yeah.
But that is so scary, the brain fog. But yeah, so did you look into environmental causes like exposures or anything like that?
I did. Because I read a lot of stuff about people flaring up with mold. I read about a lot of stuff about people getting flared up because they had sensitivities to certain things inside of perfumes and colognes,
Oh, yeah.
things like that. Because I also, my symptoms flared up when I smelled a perfume or a cologne that I used to wear.
That must have been difficult for social interaction because now you're like, don't come near me with your cologne. Were you like,
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah. Well, at that point, I wasn't going out much, but the people that were coming over that were wearing it,
yeah.
everybody would compliment them. Oh, you smell nice. And I'd be like, yeah, it smells great.
Yeah. So I'm sure you probably made some changes. You were already drinking a lot of water, but did you make changes to your diet based on what you read on blogs and things like that or in these forums? And did you find that helpful, if any?
Well, that's the thing about diet, right? Is that I did notice a couple things flared me up every time I ate. So that's when I ran online and I was like, does anyone else have gut issues? And you know how these forums can be. When you ask a question, you get 200 replies and every single reply is different. And when every single reply is a different food, I'm kind of just thinking, now I can't eat that, can't eat that, can't eat that, can't eat that. And I limited my diet so small to where it was like this. It's like unbelievably limited to the point where I didn't even want to eat anymore because I didn't have an appetite because food didn't even taste good because all I ate was like salmon and broccoli.
Yeah, I was eating chicken and boiled leaves.
Oh my God. Boiled leaves?
Just, romaine leaves. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Like lettuce.
Leafy lettuce, leafy
Yeah,
lettuce.
yeah.
Yeah, but that
Yeah.
was basically, yeah, I joke about that. Um,
That's funny.
yeah, because those blogs, it's like sweet potatoes are the best. Sweet potatoes have oxalates in them.
Hmm.
And every food you can find something terribly wrong with. I know
Pretty
what you
much.
mean, dude. All right. So you're in a little bubble. You're not really able to go out. Friends have to come over. Did you find social interactions a strain? And how did you navigate that? Were you able to talk with them for like an hour? Or how would you navigate that? And what were some struggles there with your friends and family?
Yeah, with my family, it wasn't too difficult. I keep
Mhm.
my family really close, like physically as well. I mean, we all live kind of in the same house. But as far as friends, the majority of our interactions were going out. I'm not gonna lie, I lost some friends during this recovery because eventually there comes a point where you end up saying no to enough things where people just stop inviting you out. And I think that was one of the really hurtful things. But at the end of the day, I mean, I get it, If I was on the other side and if somebody just kept saying no every time I asked them out as well, like you don't gotta keep saying no, bro. Like I get it. You don't want to be my friend or you don't want to hang out. We're not cool anymore like we used to be. That's the message that it gives off. And as painful as it is to feel misunderstood, I get it. Now that I'm on the other side, I
Yeah.
totally understand. So yeah, it is what it
Yeah,
is.
it is sad though, because it's like you're a social guy, clearly, yeah, and people don't get it. But you didn't even have a name for what you had at that
I
point.
didn't.
So,
No.
did you ever get a diagnosis of CFS or anything? Or
I got a diagnosis of anxiety, depression, and a neurological disorder. At this point, I was admitted into the hospital. And the
Mhm.
few friends that I have left, which are my best friends, because I only have, I think when you get older, you only have like 4 best friends left
Yeah, yeah.
at that point. Yeah, I think that's all of us, but they came to visit me. They're still my friends till this day. That's when I got diagnosed with that. I was still pissed off because I really didn't think it had nothing to do with my mind. It's such a physical illness. How could you? But at the end of the day, like, couldn't even pee correctly. Like, it was terrible.
Okay. Yeah, dude. So you checked yourself into the hospital. Did they have a program or anything, or just it got that bad where you could no longer take care of yourself? Can you describe that hospital?
Yeah, it came to a point where I was so frustrated, and I told myself, I have an invisible illness. This is something that's rare. If I don't get seen for this, whatever it is, if no one helps me with it, I will die. And it just got to the point where I really kept telling myself that and believing that until my parents were like, okay, we'll go and we'll tell them and we won't take no for an answer. And we did that, and we were really tough with the doctors, and they said, okay, let's admit him. They admitted me for a week, did every test in the world. I think the only things that came back was my potassium was a little bit low, and my thyroid, for some reason, seems to sway a little bit here nor there when it comes to just being a little bit off, but it was nothing to worry about. And honestly, when they told me thyroid, I was like, "That's it. It's my freaking thyroid. Now I have to take medicine for thyroid." And, thank God I didn't. I skipped on that. So, yeah.
So you were there for a week and then you went back home. Is that what happened?
Yep, went back for a week. They discharged me with the neurological disorder, went straight back home, and that was it. And I noticed while I was at the doctor's or at the hospital, I didn't have as many symptoms and I had a lot less fatigue. And it's because I think because I was trying to get admitted for so long that I was finally there. And in my mind, I finally thought, I'm finally safe. And that's when I started to feel better because the moment I left, all my symptoms came back.
Ooh. This is like the beginning of an epiphany you're having here,
Yeah.
Junior.
Yeah, that was the first clue.
So what was the next step?
So the next step for me, it was only natural to make a decision because conventional medicine wasn't working for me to kind of seek out alternative means, even if it wasn't covered by my health insurance, like seeing a naturopath or just alternative programs that are known to help invisible illnesses. So I looked into a lot of programs and they seemed to help me at first, but then just like every other program I tried, it helped me to a point, but then I realized it ended up getting worse again. I tried things like drinking majority celery juice. I tried that. Yeah, I think we all know where that one goes.
The celery juice. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you tried that, Liz?
I did a little bit, but
Yeah.
I just thought it was like I got culty vibes from it. So, and I know people
Yeah,
swear by it, and I know it does help certain people.
it
There's good
does.
stuff in
Yeah,
the
I'm not
celery,
knocking
but for
it.
me,
Nah, for me, it didn't help me too much. The only thing it helped me with is I drank it before work
mhm,
sometimes, and by the time I got there, I was pissing out my asshole, so there's that. So, I mean, it definitely helps with that if you're constipated for sure. But what
mhm.
else? After that, I tried another program, and, the dude puts you on, like, an all-fruit diet, and you take a whole bunch of herbs with it, and I felt like that helped to an extent. And then, just like everything else, it got worse. And then after that, I just tried supplements,
Mm.
honestly, because the programs weren't working. I went back to the forums and I said, "Hey, is this supplement gonna work? Is this supplement gonna work?" And I would try some supplements, it would give me some relief, and then I would go back. And then another clue started to click with me because my parents mentioned it, and they said, "Has it ever occurred to you that these things may be working because you find hope in them and you feel a sense of safety when you try it. And then after you try it, you're starting to lose hope because nothing's changing. And then you go back to your ways. It's that sense of safety. It's the same thing you had at the hospital. That's why you're feeling better, is I'm thinking it has something to do with your mental state. And that's when I was a little bit more receptive to it because I did see a pattern there. And I was like, maybe, but I'm not buying it. So I was still kind of not as receptive to it.
Yeah, you're still looking for the naturopathic diet supplement angle, which I think is the progression for most of us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when do you now begin to shift your paradigm to what ultimately worked for you?
So for me, I was kind of forced into this shift because by that time it was mid 2020. I got COVID, and COVID gave me very severe symptoms. I got my first seizure because of COVID, and I had to get rushed to the hospital and everything. I don't remember it because I don't think you're conscious when you have a seizure, are you? I don't know. I don't remember. But yeah, I remember just waking up back at home and I was told by the doctor, hey, you need a lot of bed rest, like at least 2 or 3 weeks of just doing nothing and just chilling out. So I was like, okay, cool. And I noticed after all the symptoms and the flu and the stuff like that, it died down. I was left with CFS again. But this time I was reading online that a lot of people were left with something like this after COVID. And so a new forum that I was now joining opened up for me, which was something called Long COVID. And I really kind of just put the pieces together and I was like, this sounds a lot like CFS. So let me see what these folks are doing. And fast forward 6 months later, I'm still in these forums, but 6 months later, now people are recovering from long COVID. And I'm reading things talking about how people recovered from long COVID. And they said, yeah, there's a specific thing that is happening, and it's due to the autonomic nervous system. And the autonomic nervous system is linked to your mind and how you respond to certain things like symptoms and flare ups. And I was reading up on that. At the same time, now I was more receptive. I started watching more of your videos and I started watching a lot of Raelan's recovery stories because as time went on, I noticed her channel started blowing up with recovery stories faster than it ever had before. And I don't like admitting this. I just go to the description and I click the timestamp that says what helped me recover because I had brain fog at the moment. I didn't have time to watch it. So every single person that healed was like, I had to make some personality changes. I had to do a lot of internal deep digging with who I was, my stress levels I managed. A lot of people talked about the nervous system. That's when I was really, really receptive at that point, too. Okay, the mind body connection is possibly a very, very real thing with this illness.
That's awesome. I'm so glad both our channels could help. And I know we both do timestamps. So yeah, good to
Yeah.
know that those are useful.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of my past guests also said she was looking at patterns in the videos, and there was beyond just the thing you did, there was that shift that, well, she describes it as almost a spiritual shift, but personality changes. Yeah, it's deeper than just the thing you do or the protocol or what have you. There is that shift we have. All right, so you found in the long COVID forums started to get you more open to the autonomic nervous system angle. Now you're watching more of the recovery stories and they're saying this too. So what's your next step from there?
My next step from there is I still continue to watch YouTube videos on it, but this time I approached it more of like an autonomic nervous system angle. That's when I found Miguel's videos.
Mm,
Dude posts like a trillion videos a day. So
I know.
he's a freaking workhorse. He doesn't know how to take a break. Sometimes I'll tell him too. I'm like, dude, take a freaking break. You work
I know.
way too hard. Yeah, his videos just really resonated with everything I went through. And
Yeah, and I just loved his story. He was one of my favorite interviews I did on my channel, and it was so powerful, his story. And he has a good channel himself too.
yeah, really great info on his channel. And
Yeah.
he recovered from this too. That was the most important thing for me is to actually talk and get guidance and mentorship from someone who's recovered because I spoke to enough doctors. I was done
Mhm.
with that, to be completely honest.
So you found his channel, and then did you start working with him? He was your coach?
Yeah, he was my coach. At this point, I was completely housebound. I couldn't even walk to my mailbox. I couldn't eat
Mhm.
a single thing. I was taking a break from work and I had transferred to work from home and I still couldn't handle it.
Oh, so you had been clinging on at work
So
before
I
the
was
COVID.
Right. I was barely hanging on, even when they transferred me to work from home. So that's when I found Miguel. He took me under his wing, taught me everything he knows in the most simple way you could probably explain it. And the way, this is the most important thing, the way that made the most sense, not only to myself, but to my family. When it was explained to my family, they said, "Hey, that makes sense. That actually doesn't make you sound crazy like the other programs that you tried. This might work." And here we are 7 months later, and I'm fully recovered. So,
Wow. All right. So, what were some of the things that Miguel taught you? It sounds like you were very open and willing and ready to learn and ready to change. And going into coaching or any programs, that's like key attribute. And having tried all those things that didn't work,
yeah.
the lessons we learned the hard way. But what were some of the key things that Miguel taught you?
I made notes, like, I have notes on the left side of the screen, but, I really wanted to detail exactly what the program talks about. I actually did so well that Miguel onboarded me as a coach to help the others too, so they can accelerate their recovery. I actually talked to Miguel and I said, "Let's give them this information for free." I don't wanna be one of these programs that hides this information on how to recover behind a paywall, because a lot of people don't have money to get better. So, for anyone watching this, you can use this information and you can possibly recover with this on your own. So I'll just go ahead and break it down into 4 steps because the program explains it in 4 steps. And I'll try to do it as quick as possible so I don't take up too much time, Liz. So for step 1, we really tackle understanding what is happening to the body. And simply put, the body has 2 modes. You have normal Liz, and then you have survival mode Liz, aka fight or flight mode Liz. And the fight or flight mode is normal. It's actually essential for life, but it's put in place to protect you. And the thing is, that protection puts a lot of stress on the body. And that's okay because it's only a temporary response, or at least it should be a temporary response. When the body experiences high levels of stress for a prolonged period of time, that buildup has the ability to switch you from a temporary response to a maladaptive or an automatic response that never ends. And this is how the illness begins to take shape. So, what happens to the body is that it's stuck in the survival state, and the autonomic nervous system prioritizes certain functions of the body and scales back other functions of the body that it doesn't feel like it's necessary for survival. So, when you're in fight or flight, the body prioritizes things like being hyper aware, raised heart rate, the sensation of pain, adrenaline, cortisol release. And the things that your body doesn't prioritize seem to be what a lot of people with CFS and long COVID have difficulties with: digestion, eating certain foods, sleep, energy, not adrenaline, genuine energy produced by the body, hormone regulation, your libido, the whole slew of other things. If you have CFS, you know what I'm talking about. And the thing is, the body punishes you when you try to do these things because it's trying to tell you, hello, we're in danger. There's no time to be doing this. What the heck are you doing? We're trying to protect you by doing the other stuff. So, how your body responds is it responds appropriately by subduing these other functions even more and heightening your fight and flight response as a compensation. This is why people with CFS and long COVID will attempt to do normal activities and their body punishes them for it. So that's the first step, is basically understanding exactly what is happening to the body. Is that too long-winded for just
No,
step
that
1?
was great. That was
Okay.
a very clear explanation, and it's clear you have an understanding of the science, but you break it down in a way that's easy to understand. So does the program go a lot into the science? Like, are you bringing research papers, or is it more of a digestible overview of it?
Yeah, no, the program actually teaches you exactly that. So there's actually a specific purpose for the program, but we're giving you this information for free because we
Mhm,
feel like people are entitled to this information.
mhm.
But I'll get to why the program exists kind of towards the end.
Okay.
So I can go into step 2
Yeah,
if
let's go
if
to
that's
step
cool.
2.
Yeah, so step 2 is understanding how to get out of this response of the body and just to go back to normal and to get back on with your life, because that's what everybody wants. And essentially how you do that is you make your body aware that the survival response that it has put into place is inappropriate and unnecessary because there is no danger. And you simply do this by saying to yourself, we are safe. There is no danger. Stop. This is not needed. But the important part is that this needs to be done when the body and the mind are in the most receptive place to this information. There is a certain window of time where the magic happens here. And to understand the window of time, we need to understand that there's levels of survival mode. There's 3 levels: the receptive stage, the fight or flight stage, and the full shutdown stage. In
Mhm.
CFS, long COVID, those 3 levels are mainly known as I'm having a good day, or my symptoms are flaring up and my fatigue is flaring up, or I completely crashed. So it's kind of like that. So when you're having a good day, we kind of say your symptoms and fatigue are kind of like just like a 1 to 3 out of 10. Very manageable, extremely easy. You feel like you can still go out into the world if you tried to. When your symptoms are flaring up, kind of level 2, this is a 4 to 6 out of 10 in severity. So it's uncomfortable, very, but you're not crashed yet. And then anything 7 out of 10, it hurts to even turn over in bed. You can't even lift a spoon, can't look at a screen for more than 5 seconds. You're just completely done. So the body is receptive to the information that you are safe during 2 stages. And those
Mm.
stages are when your body's flaring up and you're having fatigue, that 4 to 6, and when you're having a good day, that level as well. That's when your body is the most receptive. That's when the magic happens. Because when you're completely crashed, there's nothing you can tell your body in that moment aside from hold on for dear life and just stay calm as much as you can. As much as you want to tell your body that it's safe, if you're in a crash state, it's not going to happen. Your main focus is just to stay calm.
Ooh, that's very interesting. So basically, your recommendation, if someone's in the crash state, that's just when you can go, okay, listen to your meditation
Right.
or just accept yourself and stay calm. That's very interesting. And I think I know other programs, they have prescriptive, like an hour a day, which might not be as receptive if you're in a severe crash. So that's an
Yeah,
interesting
because
approach.
talking to tons of people in the program, we do notice and we study people, and they always say, yeah, I'm in a crash state. As much as I want to rewire or tell myself I'm safe, I just can't. I just can't calm down. And that's when we're realizing the body is not receptive at that time. There's a certain window of time where the magic happens.
Yeah, and I have people who reach out to me and it's like I initially was like, "Oh, try this," but when people are in that extreme crash state or very extreme fight or flight, it's hard to bring in the brain retraining because
Exactly.
just kind of bringing in self-acceptance and calmness seems to be what gets people through. So do you have any resources for people when they're in that crash state?
Yeah. In the program, we actually have a section inside of the program called an adjustment period care kit. We don't like to refer them really as crashes unless they're
Oh,
like genuinely actually crashes. But yeah, these are actually audio segments that Miguel and I record ourselves with like calm music in the background, like professional voiceover saying, hey, we know you're in a crash state. Just use this audio to calm down, just relax
nice. Oh, that's nice
until,
that you got a professional voice because that's so important with the voice with these things and that you
yeah.
use your music skills to make a good
Yeah, me and Miguel, we work kind of side by side to make these
yeah.
videos as professional as we can for everybody. But
Hmm.
yeah, the next step, this is the part that everybody wants to know about, is the step-by-step approach. How do you start expanding activity and getting your life back? I think that's the thing that everyone's the most eager to learn.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, that's awesome that you guys cover this because a lot of the programs they completely leave the movement and the activity and the integrating back into life up to you to figure it out. They give you the brain retraining script and
mhm.
then you're like, you figure it out.
Yeah, I don't like the word brain retraining because recovery is like it has the aspect of brain
Mhm.
retraining, but recovery includes so much more than brain retraining because when people hear brain retraining, they automatically assume this is a program that's going to teach me how to think my way out of an illness. But just because we have $1 million idea, Liz, Are we going to think our way to $1 million, or are we going to implement it using physical actions? Because that's the thing that needs to take place in order to become successful. So
Yeah.
half and half.
Yes. So would you describe this? How would then you categorize the program?
Definitely a holistic, multifaceted approach.
Okay.
We approach this from all angles because you cannot approach it from one angle and recover. And if you do approach it from one specific angle and recover, if the illness comes back to you at the other angle and you don't know how to approach it because you only approached it one way before, you're going to get stuck again. So
Mm.
that's the issue there.
All right. So let's talk about incorporating movement and how to
Standing
integrate back
activity.
into life. Okay.
Yeah.
So tell
So
me about.
this is really what people want to know. And I'm just going to give everybody the step by step straight up on how to do it right in this video. So, like we talked about different levels. When you're in a crashed state, eventually when you rest enough and you try to stay calm as much as you can, that will lift into a much more mild state where you can kind of function. You're like housebound. Symptoms are like a 4 to 6 out of 10. You're still very uncomfortable, but it's still not a crash. Like I said, this is where the magic happens. Your body needs rest. So this is kind of when you tell your body when you're in that 4 to 6 out of 10 symptoms, it's just my nervous system. Thank you for protecting me. It's not needed. In my experience, I told myself this hundreds of times a day whenever I started feeling uncomfortable. And then over the course of a few days or a couple weeks, however long it takes, everyone's body is different. The body will calm down, recharge you, and then you'll have a good day. Everybody knows that. When you rest enough, you eventually have a good day. This is when your symptoms are about a 1 to 3 out of 10. This is when you gently, very gradually, and gently expand your activity more than usual outside of your comfort zone. And this is the most important part. As you gently are expanding outside of your comfort zone, you need to not worry, anticipate, fear, or have anxiety towards doing it. And then if you feel good the next day after you do that, very gently do it again. And very gently do it again the next day if you feel okay. Eventually, there will be a day where inevitably your symptoms will flare up. This is actually what you want. You want your symptoms to flare back up to about a 4 to 6. This time, instead of freaking out about the symptoms, instead of feeling discouraged, instead of feeling regret, instead of feeling like you have failed, because what is happening is that puts immense stress on the body on a mental level. We are now asking you this time to do something you've never done, is to stay calm when that happens. I want you to feel empowered when that happens. You need to feel excited when that happens. Positive. I want you to feel, even if you can, this kind of sounds a little psycho, feel happy that it's happening. What's happening is that you're telling your body that you are happy and positive in a time where your body would normally try to protect you. So now you are sending a message to your body that the survival mode is not necessary because your body really doesn't understand language. The language that your body understands is emotion.
Ooh, that's really important because a lot of times with brain retraining, it's focusing on the language you're telling. But I think when people are successful with recovery programs, it's when they're actually able to embody the emotion behind it and embody the felt sense of joy, happiness, excitement, and seeing it as an opportunity. And you don't have to necessarily put that in words. This is the opportunity. It's that feeling.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you're not saying to like do anything crazy, like go out and like, double your activity and push beyond. Can you break that down a little? Because when we're putting this message out to the world, some people might have vastly different ideas of what it means to gently increase. And that can be based on people's personalities too. Like sometimes with a type A hard driving person, you might want to rein them in a little bit more. So can you describe the nuance there with like what is just a little bit?
What is gentle?
Yeah, what is gentle? Yeah.
Like for me, an example was when I was housebound. Something that was gentle was, well, I was moving around the house a little bit. I was able to cook a little bit here and there, look at screens every now and then. What was outside of my comfort zone was my mailbox was my safe space. That was as far as my body would allow me to go. I would walk what gentle looked like for me was literally the house next door and come back home once per day. That was as gentle as I pushed it. And that's because I was in such a sensitive state. I was housebound. The thing is, gentle looks a lot different when you're 90% recovered
Yeah.
because you make gigantic leaps towards the end. You don't really have to be as cautious. But
Yeah.
in the beginning, you have to be gentle in the beginning because your mind and your brain doesn't believe you when you tell it that you're safe. So you're kind of babying it in a way to feel more comfortable. And that takes time. It's just like a muscle. You don't go from skinny to buff in a week. It takes time, effort, a lot of work and consistency to see improvement. So you have to slowly baby your mind into understanding that it's okay and genuinely believing it. And then following that cadence of, okay, I'm resting. I'm telling myself that I'm safe, that I'm calm, that it's okay. I feel good. Now let's go gently expand activity. We'll expand activity a little more outside of our comfort zone. We're not going to worry, anticipate, or fear. And then we'll expand to a point where our symptoms flare up. And when the symptoms flare up and inevitably come, we stay as calm as possible. We stay positive. We feel excited because this is the exact moment where the magic happens. And we look forward to it. We look forward to the next time that we can expand. And then when that calms down again and you have your good day and your body lets you go again, you'll go again and you'll gently expand. But the thing you'll notice that's different is that your capacity for doing is higher than it was before because the body gradually has allowed you to expand little by little into the world. And that's the name of the game. It's very, very gentle. So that's exactly how you expand activity back into the world. The physical aspect is easy. It's pacing, pulling back when you need to. And then when your body gives you the okay, you go again and you go a little bit more this time than before. The mental part is the hard part.
The
Staying
mental
calm.
part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So,
that's step 3. And then there's one more step after that.
all right. So, do you want to tell me the next step?
Step 4 is genuinely and honestly why the program exists in the first place. Recognizing personality roadblocks. Because now that you understand the science and you genuinely believe why this is happening, and now you know the steps to expand, some people, even with that information, will still not recover. Because while they have the information, people have all kinds of different backgrounds, personality traits that could act as roadblocks, which is why the program exists. We're not here to teach you about the illness. I just taught you exactly what's happening. I taught you what to do. That info should be free. You're entitled to that information. The hardest roadblock is actually different for everybody because everyone has different personalities, which is why a type A personality doesn't know what gentle nudging means when it comes to expanding activity. That's where we come in because you need help with that. A hesitant personality may have a difficult time expanding activity without fear and hesitation. They may struggle with that. That's where the program comes in. That's where the coaching comes in. Being able to stay calm during times of symptoms and when things flare up and telling yourself that it's positive because it's difficult to stay positive during that time because of maybe you have trauma in the past or something like that. That's where the program comes in. That's where we help. That's why you listen to so many recovery stories and everyone says, I had to do some deep digging. I had to lose my ego. I had to change my personality. And you think everyone's approach is different, why it becomes so overwhelming, but it's recognizing those personality roadblocks and kind of molding your personality in a way where it finally works with the implementation, which is where you finally see you get your life back.
Yeah. So, what are some of the personality traits beyond type A and hesitant that you tend to see as roadblocks for people?
Yeah, so I think one thing that I've noticed that really stuck out in particular, obsessive personalities, very hyper analytical personalities. These personalities, while we tell you to implement it and follow the cadence, recovery is not structured. It's more of an intuitive thing. Yeah, you follow a specific cadence, it has a specific pattern to it, but not every single time you flare up, it's going to be exactly 4 days. One flare-up could be 4 days, and for some reason, the next flare-up could be 2 weeks. And for some reason, because one flare-up is a little bit different than the other, the obsessive personality begins to hyperanalyze, why is this one longer than the other one? It doesn't work that way. It has to be intuitive. Follow a general form of cadence, but it has to be intuitive. And the hyper-analytical people are the ones that really seem to struggle because they like structure. They need to know exactly what's going to happen at exactly what time, how long exactly it's going to take, how many thoughts they have to swat away in a specific day. It doesn't work like that. So you have to kind of
Yeah.
teach them how to take that whatever response to life. And sometimes they have a hard time doing that. So that's why the program exists.
Yeah. Or they'll start trying to find other answers and be like, okay, maybe I did this and I ate this. And then it's
Exactly.
reminding them that have a whatever approach to life. Yeah. And it's so funny because having a whatever approach to life, if that was what you told us in the very beginning.
We
Yeah.
were still pre-juice.
Yeah.
Yep.
But what I see as the difference with your program is the camaraderie. And because it's a group cohort. So I
Right.
know what you teach these things, but it seems like what you guys have, there's some other group programs, but you have a small but good sized cohort and you're with them and you use the free alternative to Slack, Discord, right?
Yeah.
And you're on the Discord community chat and everyone's helping one another out and you have access to you and Miguel. So people feel it's like a team kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, that's the one thing I really love about the group. It's one thing to be in the Facebook forums and everyone's kind of just throwing out advice here and there because at the end of the day, nobody really knows what's going on.
Yeah,
It's
I had to leave those because
yeah,
no
me
one knows. And
too.
people are just like so impassioned about their thing or that they had one negative experience with one program, that entire modality is terrible.
Exactly. So it's one thing to be in a Facebook group like that. It's another thing to be in a community where every single person in the community knows exactly what's going on with the body. And there is no more, what if this happens? What if that happens? It's a very powerful group of people. And I have never seen so many people recover from a program or get incredible progress from a program in such a short amount of time. We have a section in the Discord called the Wins channel where everybody talks about how much more capacity they have than last week. And I don't know why Miguel put me in charge of handling the Wins channel and all that stuff. I cannot keep up with it. It's too much. At some point, I'm just going to tell Miguel, just let them talk. I don't need to monitor this anymore. It's too much. It's too much. We had one girl, she couldn't stand up. She got symptoms and pain just from sitting up. This was literally months ago. And she's walking around and taking vacations. It's incredible to see
Wow.
what you're capable of when you understand what's happening.
So the one thing about your program is, in addition to the videos you get and the Discord private group chat, you also get, is it 2 hours a week? How many Zooms a week is it?
When you first start the program, you get 2 calls a week with the group that you're in. 2 calls a week, 2 hours each, plus a one-on-one coaching session with Miguel and myself. And these Zoom calls, you think, oh, it only lasts for the span of 6 weeks. 6 weeks is just to educate you on what's happening with the body. You are allowed to stay on follow-up Zoom calls 2 times a week until the day you recover, even if it takes 50 years, which that's not going to happen. So
Okay.
that's how
Yeah.
confident we are in people recovering.
So, but you mentioned this girl who was like bedbound and struggled to sit. So how did she get through these 2 hour Zoom videos? Did she just like lay down and listen to it with her?
Yeah, we tell them take the podcast approach because I know looking at screens for 2 hours, that can wipe somebody out who's in a very sensitive state. Like me, I couldn't look at screens for more than 5 seconds. Take the podcast approach, throw on some earbuds and just listen to it. And even if you can't do that, watch it in short bursts because the great thing about us is that we record all these calls and we allow people to watch them back.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. So people can just watch it in bite-sized pieces if they're in a really bad state and still can learn from others in their group. And then when they're improved, they can then join in. And do you guys, is it you're teaching something and is it Q&A or can you describe the format?
Yeah, so for the first 6 weeks, it's mainly purely information for the first half of the call and then Q&A on the second half of the call.
Hmm.
And then after the 6 weeks, it's purely Q&A. To be honest though, it's barely a Q&A at this point because we have people coming in after they learn the information. It's not like a Q&A, it's more like people are coming on just to show off how much wins they're getting for 2 hours, and everyone kind of just shares that and jokes and talks about life. A few people have questions here and there that are kind of struggling because they have those personality roadblocks and how should I approach this? How should I approach that? There's nuances in recovery too, where your symptoms can shift during recovery and you freak out,
Hmm.
or something gets worse, like anxiety can flare up during a certain point of recovery, and that's normal. And they just want to ask if it's normal. That's all. But yeah, it's a very, very different environment than these Facebook groups and stuff like that. So
Yeah, this is so great. I'm so glad you were so open and shared all this great information. And it's wonderful that Miguel helped you as a coach, and then you built this wonderful program together and are helping people recover in a community setting that's in a close-knit group. That's really powerful. So yeah, and it seems like your approach is very straightforward, but it's also nuanced in how you approach the movement, and you're really helping people along because some of the other programs don't factor that. And there's some holistic programs that do factor the movement, but they don't factor in the nervous system stuff. So,
yeah, the thing is, it may be the nervous system, but it affects the whole body,
yeah,
including physical. And that's why the program is there. Even if we give you the information, you may have personality roadblocks that prevent you from
yeah,
implementing it. You have a whole tribe behind you when it comes to joining the program. Like we talked about in the beginning, when your body is in survival mode in its most primitive state, it's because it thinks you're out in the jungle and there's a saber-toothed tiger somewhere out there to kill you. You feel a lot safer if you're walking around in a group, don't you? So,
yeah. Awesome. This was so great, Junior. I'm so glad to share your story. And so, can you just tell me a little bit about your life now, and how is your life different than before you were ill? And how has it changed or improved or adapted to a more sustainable life that you live now?
yeah, life's great. It's full, just like how it used to be before. It's still very active like it used to be before, but the main difference is it's a lot more balanced. I know how to take a break. I know when to really sit down and enjoy the little things now. It only took me to, almost pretty much lose everything in my life to now finally sit down and be like, "Hey, that's nice. I didn't notice that before." So, but yeah, it's crazy how somebody can go from being completely helpless to the person that helps other people. And it was just mainly on the fact that I didn't give up, or I found hope in Miguel and he saw something I couldn't even see within me. But now that I'm here and I'm just trying to provide hope for other people too that really just want a shot at getting a normal life, because at the end of the day, hope is the closest thing we have to magic. So,
Wow, that's so powerful. I have like 5 videos in my queue, but I'm going to prioritize yours because they're all ladies and I need more dudes.
oh yeah, I hear you on that.
I think probably why there's more women is probably because women tend to be more like people pleasers and rescuers.
We were talking about people in the program, and the women were like, women are so much more emotional than dudes. And I always chime in and be like, speak for yourself. I was really freaking emotional when I had this illness. I didn't have the whole menstrual thing and the hormonal
Oh, yeah,
thing
yeah.
like women, dude. Every time a girl asks me about that in the program, yeah, Junior, I'm having like menstrual flare. What do I do? And I'm just like, go to the hospital. I don't know.
I know. Lady stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so funny. Yeah. Someone, a male coach asked me for advice about that. I was like, I don't know. I don't even know either.
Yeah. I don't know. I
But
told Miguel we need a female coach, and we need a coach that attacks everything that we lack. For
Mhm.
example, I'm not a parent, I'm not a woman,
Oh, okay.
I don't have kids, and we need to find a mom in the program who recovers that's willing to be a coach. That's a mom that is older, like she understands all this stuff.
Yeah, I that would be great. Well, I hope, yeah. Because I know a lot of the programs, it seems like the cohorts, they all are the same type of people. But I did notice in your group that it was more of a diverse group than some of these
Yeah.
others. But your group does have a vibe of like
You have
inclusion for everyone.
everyone, literally every ethnicity, like guys and girls, and it's
Yeah, and I think
crazy.
that's great. And I like to be in mixed groups too, because when it's all women, it can be almost too, it's like, okay, ladies.
Yeah,
But we
exactly.
don't have to
I
include this
love
one,
it.
but yeah.
The younger kids tease the older ladies in the group all the time,
Oh,
and the
that's
older
so fun.
ladies be picking on the kids all the time. I think it's hilarious.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I hope, yeah, and that's awesome that you told me that. Like, yeah, we could really benefit from a mom who's a little bit older than us. Because I know Miguel, he's in his 20s, but has the maturity of someone in his late 30s, but
Yeah.
he's a young one. But that's cool that you're able to like acknowledge that. Because some people are like, no, I'm in tune with everyone. It's like, really?
Yeah.
But that's cool. Awesome. This is so great. Have a good rest of
Cool.
your afternoon over there, Junior. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Liz. I
All right.
appreciate you
We'll be
taking
in
the
touch.
time.
Take care.
Okay. See ya.
Bye. If you enjoyed our interview today, please give it a like and leave a comment. It would be much appreciated. And please subscribe. I've got some great content coming. So stay tuned.